Hello and a very warm welcome to SVT News in the studio this evening. A very, very busy studio, might I add. We've got multiple political leaders, and I'm joined, of course, by my co-host, Skyker and Pirate Hayden. Let's get straight into it this evening, because we've only got about 20 minutes or so before those poll results come out. Sky, we'll start with you. Obviously, you were here last election when we covered this. Conservatives were running then. They got an excellent majority. Do you think we're going to see the same kind of majority now?
The exit polls certainly show that it is going to be a lot closer than it was last time. You know, it shows that there is a possibility of there being a hung parliament, and none of us want that. So it is quite a tense election night.
Definitely, yeah. And of course, Pirate, you're back as well, a natural co-host here at SVT, who you're accompanying us all the time. And of course, last election you were accompanying us as well. You had a view last election that it was going to be a conservative blue wave. It turned out to be true. Can we count on your predictions again tonight?
I have absolutely no idea. It's going to be almost certainly an important one, because two of the most important parties are gone, deregistered, the Cooperatives and the Liberals. So it's paved the way for the either the rise or the lack of rise for smaller new parties.
Definitely, yeah. And we've just had the exit polls as well from the Electoral Commission themselves. Of course, we've got it on the bottom of the screen for you on SVT Live on YouTube. Conservatives, 44.4% is the predicted gain for the Conservatives there. Now, if we compare that to the figures from last election, that's actually only a 2% or so sway in terms of voters. That's really interesting, because obviously we get quite a lot in the UK. There's politics change a lot, and it's never usually one party that maintains the same level of support going forward. Obviously, this isn't a great thing. They want to get as much as they can, but what is clear is that other parties haven't chewed too much into those Conservative votes there. We are joined, of course, by Megaminer, the Conservative leader and former Prime Minister, or current Prime Minister, might I add. Megaminer, thank you for joining us again. It's lovely to have you back. What are your thoughts tonight?
First of all, thank you for having me. It's great to be back again, getting a bit of deja vu from last election. Of course, with this exit poll, I'm quite disappointed that it's not predicting a majority for my party, as it's been something we've been after for this entire term. Although I do have faith that the actual results will be different. As we've seen from the poll and the polls channel in the official Discord, we did have a very healthy majority of the votes of the ZUK members. So I hope that we can get a majority, although I don't know how big of a majority it's going to be. We might just scrape by with 21, 22 seats, but anything's better than what we had last election.
Definitely, and some new opponents, of course, the DUP and UKIP. You could argue these are remnants of parties gone. Are there any real threats here for you tonight?
Definitely not. I mean, if you look at UKIP, they're led by one of my former MPs, Bossmate, who was honestly quite frankly a terrible MP, and I was honestly quite elated when I saw that UKIP got registered, because I knew they were going to be a shambolic party, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they're going to perform in the House of Commons, and I am 100% certain they're going to live up to that label, shambolic. And with the DUP, ever since they rebranded themselves from the British Freedom Party, have just been falling deeper and deeper into irrelevancy in the UK political scene. It's definitely shaping up now to be more of a two-party system with the Conservatives and Labour, as the DUP have less and less support. So I'm not worried about them being threats in Parliament. I think obviously the real opponent will be the Labour Party.
Yeah, definitely, and obviously we've got these party leaders with us tonight. We'll get to them. Me and my co-hosts will be osking around the table, and we'll have a nice chat for those results, which will be coming to you live on SVT. We've got the Electoral Commissioner coming on soon, who will give the announcement here live. You'll hear it here first. Where else did you hear it? Let's be honest. Megaminer, thank you for answering those questions. But I've got one last one for you. Do you believe this consistent trend of parties failing to take government and then giving up when it comes to them actually gaining seats and trying to form any opposition. Is this just going to be a thing that goes on forever, or do you think this election we might actually see some form of active opposition?
It always seems to be a trend that happens because most of the parties, with the exception of my own party, they really only care about getting in power and holding power. So when they're not in government and they're stuck in opposition, they don't have much power. So these parties tend to, they have a lack of enthusiasm when it comes to being in parliament. They fall into inactivity because they don't have that power, which is what they're after. Whereas parties such as my own party, whatever position we're in, if we're in government next term again, which I'm sure we will be, if we're in opposition, we're always going to be active because, unlike the other parties, our aim is not to just have power and cling onto it like, Dobby from Lord of the Rings. Not Dobby, that one. Anyway, that's not our objective. Our objective is to, further the interests of the British people, and whether we do that in government, whether we do that in opposition, that doesn't matter. We're not here to actually make change, unlike the other parties. So I definitely think falling into inactivity is a trend, and I think it will continue with the other parties. We're going to see a revolving door of leaders of the opposition next term, just as we did last term with Erin, Val, everyone else. I think that trend's going to continue into the next term.
Hello?
Not sure what happened there. I think there's a bit of an audio hitch. We are coming on to the Labour leader now. Sky, I think you've got a few questions for him.
I do. So, obviously, firstly, welcome on at the show. It's an honour to have you. I've just got, you've got the exit polls predict that you hold around 36.5% of the vote. Firstly, what do you think about that? Like, what are your general opinions going into the vote after seeing the election polls?
Well, I'd like to correct you. I'm not the Labour leader. The Labour leader wasn't available to come today, and I'm filling in. What was the question? I wasn't here. I just heard that bit.
You are currently predicted to be the second largest party with 36.5% of the vote. Going forward, how would you feel about holding that margin overall?
Well, any gain for the Labour Party is a gain for the good of the British public, and with more Labour MPs giving more representation to the side, that's right. I think any gain is good for us, and any gain will help to bring down the Tories. And obviously, the swing of 24% is a massive change and a massive show from the public that Labour are coming for government, and we will come for government. If not this election, then next election.
I think the Prime Minister and Conservative leader was saying that he believes that the exit polls predict, there could be a change. These could not be accurate at all. Do you think that there is still a chance that the Labour could take government this election?
There's always a chance. But I personally don't believe that we will take government this election. I'd like to hope we do, but I don't believe we will. But yeah, we won't. I don't think we will.
Right. Okay. Thank you. So a few more questions regarding. So you are predicted to be the second largest party. What Labour planning to do if they do become the primary opposition to this government?
Well, we've already been acting as a primary opposition in the House of Commons last term with no other party showing up. And if they do show up, they're incompetent and they're not ready to oppose the government. We have been scrutinising the government, and we'll continue to scrutinise the government as we have been doing, over the last term. Okay,
and just a final thing. I do want to ask this. So what are you said that you want to scrutinise the government. What sort of policies are you wanting to put forward? Obviously, you can put forward policies in the House, you can put forward legislation. Are you planning to actively implement any pieces of legislation to the House? or is most of your work going to be scrutinising that of the government?
Well, of course, we'll introduce some legislation, and that legislation will be based off the manifesto pledges that we've announced. But I think mainly we would want to scrutinise the government. We would want to continue the duty of the opposition to make sure government bills and legislation, not like the government will write any, they didn't write that much last term, but if they do write some, then we will oppose them if we find necessary, and we will scrutinise the government to our greatest extent.
Thank
Well,
you.
I would like. Thank you very much from the Labour Party. I would like to move on to the Democratic Unionist Party, who were, if I'm not mistaken, formerly the British Freedom Party. So, with the Democratic Unionist Party, in general, could I just ask what you guys mainly stand for? What is it that you guys want to do exactly?
Alright. We genuinely are a right-wing populist party, so we are based on the people's opinion. So if they give us feedback, if they have any ideas, any suggestions, we will take it in and we will try to implement them. So let's say, for example, previously a lot of people hated the fact that the Royal Navy was disbanded, was decommissioned. So we want to try to help them to bring back the Royal Navy. That's one example. But as of now, it's not really a general, it's not really a relevant idea. So we're sticking to things like, helping people by fixing, reconstructing, finishing the construction of the shops in the high street. That's one example of our current plans.
I see. I'd just like to have a look at something from your campaign promises in regards to the Treasury and Companies House. So in here it says, I quote, opening of the business sector in HM Treasury with businesses being purchasable. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I'm aware, the business sector is very much open, and anyone could theoretically go in and open any business, I do believe, free of charge. Why is it perhaps that the DUP wants to make it purchasable instead? Would it be Robux, in-game currency? What would it be, and why?
We plan to have it be purchasable in-game currency because it's more convenient, and because, let's say, if a company wants to sell their shares, they could. If, let's say, somebody who has a lot of money wants to buy a company, they could. It's much more realistic in the sense of roleplay. It builds the sense of being able to live in UK.
But people can already register businesses, so I don't really see why it would be necessary to change that up to make people have to purchase it. Like, if it's in-game money, where's that money going to go? It's not really going to help out in terms of any sort of, some sort of government treasury, because there isn't really one, it's Roblox. So, what would actually be done with that money?
Now, with that kind of money, in-game money could be used as a form of, like I said earlier, as a roleplay tool. It's more of allowing players to, is to allow players to have a more realistic sense in ZUK. So, if, let's say, you have to use Robux to buy a company, then that's really just discouraging them from really purchasing company. We will have things like business taxes in this kind of situation where if you buy a company, you need to do this um certain you need to how do I say this? Meet a certain requirement before you can buy a company. We will try to implement realistic policies. Yes. So that's why I mean by making business purchasable.
Thank you very much for both the DUP leader and the Labour leader and the Conservative leader for answering our questions. We've got the results for you in around 5 minutes or so stay tuned for that. Yeah, you'll hear it here first on SVT. We've conducted our own little poll on the YouTube channel. 91 of you have voted, so thank you a lot. That is the most votes we've got on one of these polls, so that is really appreciated. Thank you very much. From what we're seeing on here, it looks like quite hefty support for Labour. Now, I'm not going to say there's any kind of inaccuracy on this kind of poll, but I don't think this is what the election is going to represent. At least that's just my opinion. We've got, of course, the exit polls on the bottom of the screen for you. Those are sort of the most accurate predictions we're going to get this evening. It's going to be interesting because DUP and UKIP, people have said they might not even make, one seat. They're looking at about 20% between them, at least according to the exit polls. We'll see what the final results actually say about that. Pirate and Sky, is this election quite similar to, do you think, to what we had last time? I mean, it's the same kind of premises. We had the Conservatives looking like they were around 40% lead, and when we actually came to those results, that exit poll was pretty accurate. Is there going to be a big surprise for us tonight, do you think?
I think it's just going to be the same thing, different parties. We always see two quite predominant parties in every election we have, and then they've got some minor parties with a couple of seats. But I think obviously what we're going to see, as predicted by the exit polls, we're going to see a Conservative, taking the lead, and Labour close behind them. And unfortunately, I do believe that chances are there will be a hung parliament. So it's really just how the government, whichever party it may be, actually utilises the seats they have.
Yeah. No, yeah. I think you're right there, Pirate. Of course, you're Speaker of the House of Commons. You've got a lot of experience. You know what it was like last election. Are you scared that we might get an opposition that will just not do their job?
In terms of my now technically former role as Speaker of the House of Commons, obviously I chair all the debates, all the questions, bills, all that, and it is really nice to see it when an opposition does scrutinise, when it does oppose what the government has to say. But from looking at this from merely an election, I have absolutely no idea what we could expect, because I was actually expecting something more surprising, considering the fact that we did lose the two of the biggest parties. Or was I can't quite remember. However, obviously Liberal and Co-op, they were big, so it was surprising to lose them.
Okay, hello. So, just a few more questions, really, for the Conservative Party, the people on here, Eddie, Daniel, Mega. Just what are your plans if you take office this election?
So we're just going to be continuing what we've been doing in the last term, which is one of the main things we've done is we provided a government that's been stable. We provided a government which has been accessible to the British people. We haven't been behind closed doors. We've been open and available, as my messages have always been open, and we've increased our transparency with new departmental discord. So really we want to continue providing a stable, open, and a government that the people can look up to and be proud of, with our foreign relations internationally, with our new United Nations, with our strong activity in the House of Commons. What we want to continue next term, as I have said, is providing a government that people can be proud of, because approval for past governments has not been strong in previous elections, previous governments such as Godson's government. And we provided a government that people, regardless of their political ideology, can rally around and support. And we're just providing a sense of national unity, which I don't think has really been seen in this group in a long time.
Yeah. Thank you. Just one more question for you, Eddie, before I move on to Daniel. Are we going to see a similar Conservative government if you do win to last time, or have you got a change up in your cabinet?
So we have done a few changes while in government in the last term, and at the moment I have no intentions of changing the current composition. A lot of the ministers who are in office at the moment, as I said, yes, there was a reshuffle a few weeks ago, and they're very well suited to their positions, and I'm happy with the performance at the moment. So I don't have any changes planned for the foreseeable future. All
right, thank you, Daniel. Just a short question for you. Obviously, your proposed Secretary of State for Levelling Up. Could you please tell the public a bit about what your plans are for your respective department?
So I've been levelling up secretaries throughout this entire term and through our December term last year, and my department is tasked with ensuring that every single department within the government meets the quotas that we set out in our manifesto, and taking the governments to further steps that we want to ensure the stability and security of the entire country, or just making sure that stuff gets done in government.
Right, thank you for that. Just back to Eddie. So you talked about your cabinet is going to remain the same. Are there any main new policies you wish to introduce, new pieces of legislation? Obviously, your manifesto and campaign, that's said a majority looks at a majority of what you want to do, but is there anything else you wish to add?
Sorry, I've just got to stop you guys there because we've got the results right now for you. Mycroft, you're going to take it away and you're going to reveal the results for us. This is SVT News Live.
Alright then, guys. So, the results for the June general election. I can announce that it is not a hung parliament and we do have a majority government. The majority government will be the Conservative and Unionist Party with 21 seats. Got the Labour Party with 12 seats. We have the United Kingdom Independence Party with 4 seats. And we have the Democratic and Unionist Party with another 4 seats. There you go. There you have it. Tories 21 seats, Labour 12 seats, UKIP 4 seats, and DUP 4 seats.
And there you go. Everybody. Thank you very much, Mycroft, for reading those out. We've got a beautiful graphic on screen for you right now, so you can have a look at those results. 21 seats. Megaminer, are you happy about that?
It's exactly what I said. I knew we would scrape a majority. Of course, this is just one over. This is, we just have 1 seat over. But, a majority is a majority. We don't have to go about creating coalitions that will be unstable. And we can actually get into office right now and get stuff done instead of having to, deal with what we had last election with the Liberal Party. We can actually get into office right now and make change. So I'm very happy with these results. And I'd like to congratulate all the other parties as well, especially the Labour Party for their gain in seats. And I'm looking forward to the parliamentary term.
Thank you so much, and well done to you and the entire Conservative Party for that win. Little Dragon, you're representing Labour. Are you disappointed by these results?
Not at all. Not at all. Labour got 5 seats last election, and any increase, as I said, is a good one. And 12 seats is amazing. We get we have 12 candidates. We have 12 active candidates, which will fill those positions, and we will have an active opposition this term, and we'll see how this term plays out. But Labour will challenge government, and we will scrutinise the government. And 12 seats is amazing. as I said, and it's a great increase for the Labour Party.
Definitely. And thank you all party leaders for joining us this evening. It's been a great night. We've really enjoyed it. Before we cut off, Mega Miner, have you got anything to say to the British public?
I'd just like to say thank you to the British people for putting their faith in the Conservative Party for a second term. It's a very great honour for me to be here, now entering my 4th term as Prime Minister in this group. I'd like to say, thank you for everyone for putting their faith in myself and my party, and we're not going to let you down. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep continuing what we did in the last election, in the last term, which is providing stability and providing a government that people can be proud of. And I'm on my way to Buckingham Palace right now to meet His Majesty, kiss his hand. So yeah, and then we can get to work.
That is brilliant, and congratulations again. Thank you all party leaders for joining us tonight. Thank you so much. It's been really enjoyable. We will now cut to a quick ad break, and then we will have the final news round this evening with your hosts, Adam J. Rennet, Sky, Queer, and Pirate Hayden. Thank you all party leaders, and have a very good evening.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
You can fix a board, then you can fix a bike. And if you can fix a bike, then you can fix a car. If you can fix a car, then you can learn to fix a Lynx Mark 8 helicopter, a Pacific 24C boat, a 4.5-inch naval gun, a Samson radar system, or a Type 45 destroyer. And when you can fix all that, you'll be a Royal Navy engineer. Start your journey. Search Royal Navy Engineers.
And we are back in the studio. Amazing night. I've really enjoyed that. I think it was really well put together. Some great points from the party users across the board. Thank you, Mycroft, with your very loud keyboard. I think it's been quite interesting. Of course, the Conservatives have walked away there with a confident majority. Sky, let's get your breakdown on that. How do you think that's turned out for them?
Well, first off, I'm just going to put my hands up and say, I was wrong. I said I don't think there will be a majority this term. But obviously, ZUK, it's inconsistent. You can never predict anything in ZUK. And, the Conservatives have walked away with a majority. So I think the entire cabinet, they'll have a smile on their face. They'll be happy about this. And really, it is now how they take this majority, how they utilise it, and what they really do as the government.
Definitely, and we've just been invited to bring our cameras down to Westminster live. We'll get you footage of that in a few minutes. Pirate, let's get your opinions on all of that, especially your questions to the was it the DUP leader? I think he didn't seem very sure. He didn't seem very sure, did he? Get us your view on that.
Well, I don't know what if he was aware of what I was talking about with business and how it's actually open. I'm not sure what the DUP is going to would have done with that, but it's their policy, it's their plan, so we'll leave it with them.
Yeah, I think it was quite interesting as well from Labour. They didn't really seem very sure of where they were taking that. I think the polls of the SVT channel made it seem like they'd get a lot more than they actually did. Sky, Labour is notoriously inactive. Do you think that's just going to be a thing that stays? I mean, as Mega Miner said, he doesn't think the opposition's going to change. He still think it's going to be as stagnant as ever. What do you think?
I think the Labour Party does seem quite promising. Last term, I believe they were quite active, as they did say. They did act as the opposition. They weren't, the greatest opposition in the world, but they did act as an opposition. So I do think they will be there, and I do think they will scrutinise the government, but it really is how well they do scrutinise. I don't think it's really going to be activity which is the problem. I'm not saying competency will be a problem, but I do think they do need to look and make sure that they are properly scrutinising the government and they do it in the right way.
Yeah, definitely. Pirate, you have anything to say about that?
Well, obviously, last time I was Speaker of the House of Commons, I saw pretty much everything that was going on in the House, and from what I had seen, the Labour Party was one of the parties that was giving probably the most scrutiny to the at the time Conservative government, and now still Conservative government. So I guess right now we'll just have to see what happens with Labour getting another 7 or so more seats than they had.
Yeah, I think it was about, what did they end? So it's 36% with their polled predictions, but I can't actually remember how many seats did they get. I think it was about 12, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 12.
It's not a terrible, score for them. I think they surprise me every time with how many seats they seem to acquire. I don't think we'll go into detail on exactly how they acquire those seats, but I think, yeah, they do surprise you, nevertheless. We're going to come to Westminster shortly. I believe the Prime Minister's making a statement. We'll have that live for you soon. I think this election really is just set in stone that the Conservative government is working, and we can't deny that. Last term was, as I think personally, one of the smoothest terms we've had in politics. No coups, no scandals. It was pretty smooth going. What I do think the issue with that is that it just seems like, or at least from my perspective, it seems like the government just don't do a lot, even though they do, because you don't hear about it. Do you know what I mean? It's not as controversial, so not as many people are as aware. Sky, do you think we're going to avoid any controversies this term?
I certainly do hope so. I mean, as amusing as it is, when everyone gets involved, everyone starts fighting, everyone starts queuing, I mean, it does not help the group situation at all, and it is quite damaging. So I do really, really hope that there's no controversy this term. And, the Conservative Party, they were quite good last time. They didn't start any controversy. Let's hope we can see it again.
Yeah, they were pretty clean, to be fair to them. They were pretty clean last term, and hopefully the same this term. To be honest, I'm kind of just happy there's a majority government. We all know how many issues there can be when it's split between multiple parties, so I think we could be happy about that. Pirate, we'll ask you a secret question here. No one else is going to know except everyone watching right now. Are you running again as an MP for the Conservatives and as Speaker of the House?
I can confirm that I will be running for re-election as Speaker of the House of Commons.
That is brilliant. That is brilliant. That is good, because it means that you weren't biased on this talk show, so we can have no complaints.
Exactly.
Not that it matters anyway, because Ofcom doesn't exist, so it's just we're pretty much unregulated as you get. Yeah, we'll come to London shortly. I'm not really sure what's going on there. We've sort of just been told hurry over and something might happen, so we're not going to let you down and switch over there while nothing is happening. We'll stay in the studio for a couple of minutes. Both of you, a question for both of you: are the Conservatives really going to change up a lot of their game? I mean, they haven't, from the campaign, it doesn't seem like a lot's being shuffled. Are we going to see any significant changes to policy, do you think?
Well, I think really, they did play quite a good game last term. They didn't do much, but it seemed to work, and it seemed to get them re-elected. So I do think it could be quite similar to what we saw last term, with a government that doesn't really do anything decisive, but doesn't really do anything bad. And it's basically, at the end of the day, it's just keeping the country in a stable position. And right now it's stable, and the Conservatives have kept it stable. So I think we will see that happen again.
Yeah, definitely. We're cutting now to live footage from Westminster, outside Buckingham Palace, to be precise. We're not exactly sure what's going on here. We know the Prime Minister and His Majesty are gathered. This would be quite unusual if there was any kind of balcony announcement to the public. I don't think that's on the table, but it kind of seems like it is. Either of you, any idea what's going on here? I mean, I don't know how much you can really do as a Prime Minister from Buckingham Palace without it being a bit strange. So, what do we think is going on here?
preparation, I suppose.
Something along those lines.
Probably.
The thing is, there's just no Downing Street or anything, so they literally are just. Oh no, there is a Downing Street, and now I've got to get the cameras over there. For roleplay's sake, there's a helicopter, so you know, make some helicopter noises if you want to make it realistic. Never mind, there isn't Downing Street over there. Where am I going?
Oh, it's someone else.
No,
right,
I'm
helicopter
sort of just
over
flying
then.
around endlessly. You know, this is what happens when they desperately want news coverage but don't actually provide any context as to what's actually
Quick,
going
we need
to
to
be
learn
shown.
helicopter
So,
noises, mate.
yeah, SVT, as you know, is very scripted. It's definitely not us just thinking of stuff on the spot when we get
No, of
told
course
to,
not.
You know?
That's what makes it so good, isn't it? You know, there's
Yeah, that's scripted. Yes, that's what makes it
Oh yeah,
brilliant.
it's scripted.
Yeah, scripted. And I wish it was, because then I wouldn't have to actually think. I could just talk.
What do you mean you wish it was? It is. You don't know what you're on
Oh,
about.
sorry. It is scripted.
What do you mean? We were sat here all day planning this.
Yeah.
we were.
Yeah.
That is actually That is actually what I said to Arthur. So please do
Sat
not
there
pretend.
dripping.
That was our excuse to get it.
We're not
featured.
misleading anyone, trust me, we're not misleading anyone. We are entirely scripted.
I would never. Well, if nothing happens in the next 2 minutes, we might as well call it an evening for the stream. We've been going for about 40 minutes or so. I think this has been a pretty clean election coverage. I mean, the studio is a bit cramped. Maybe we need some funding to revamp that.
Expand.
But, you know, I think it was quite smooth going. We had a little ad break, first ad break on SVT. I thought it was pretty nice. I don't know if you've watched it. I bet you two probably haven't because you haven't seen the stream. But watch it. It'll be worth it. And of course, don't forget SVT Frontline and Live with Pirate Hayden. 2 new shows coming next week. You guys are both part of that. So are you excited for that?
I am.
Well, one of them literally has my name in it. Why wouldn't I be excited?
This is true. Live from the Newcastle studio, wherever the hell that.
Yes, exactly. An entire first as well from a Newcastle studio.
Yeah, I really have no idea what is going on here. If I'm completely honest with you all, I'm sure it's not that important anyway. So I think we'll call it an evening. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching SVT News Live. We have been your host, Pirate Hayden, Sky Queer, and Adam J. Rennett. I'm going to keep saying Sky Queer because it sounds funny. Yeah, is that how you say it? I don't know. Is that how you say it?
No.
You know what?
Stick to
Okay,
Sky.
Sky Quiz sounds fun, so we'll keep that. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and we will see you at our future live stream. Good night.